it's not one size fits all, and it's not, oh, have tos. Yes, the idea is to be with whatever arises. And sometimes that presents challenges, sometimes it presents us with new ways of seeing ourselves. Sometimes we see our old patterns. Okay, I'm talking too much. So, what else did anyone notice in response to stress?
I can share two things. A source of stress for me can be out on the road, out on a highway. And what I have started doing is leaving a greater distance between my car and the car in front of me. I used to get stressed out. I'd be like, that one's texting, this one's gonna cut over in front of me. You know, I see one coming up from the right, they're gonna, and now I just try to leave a good car distance. I accept the fact they're coming in right and left. And I think that's from the class. So that is a positive way for me to deal with that. My son sitting behind me said yesterday, why are you leaving so much room in front of you? I said, as you will learn on the driving test, this is the right way to do it. So that is a stress reduction there. The second area is familial, going back to the teenager son, who I said, you will pack yourself for camp independently. It was supposed to be done Monday. It's about 2/3 of the way done today. And I found myself last night, I said, where are we? Well, still need a few things. I said, okay. He looked amazed. Okay? I said, I'm going to bed. This is your adventure. Tell me what is left tomorrow and we will go shopping. Oh. The stress left. I don't know when he went to sleep, but he went to camp today. And I'm instead of getting stressed out, I said, this is a maturation process for him. At 13, he should be able to do it. I'm not coddling him. He will get it done, and I will go to sleep. So he's as amazed as I am, but there's no stress.
Wow.
So you're sharing with us not just your observations, but some implementations.
Yes.
As have you. And I suppose what you're telling us all is that the awareness in these arenas has brought you to make a shift. Does anybody have a pattern that they're noticing, that they're just noticing, they haven't yet been able to shift? Yeah.
With my kids, like that's one area where I noticed stress a lot, and like I felt like I was listening to different stories and it sounded like success stories. But I'm like, I don't think mine's there yet, because I'm just at the point where I'm noticing that, like when the stress gets triggered, like I'm having fun with my kids and everyone's happy and we're okay, and then I don't know, something sets me off. One of them, I guess, starts to be wild or really disrespectful or something, making a big mess, something, and all of a sudden I feel like my body, like I feel the anxiety And just that, like, all of a sudden I can't deal with it anymore, and I hear all of a sudden my reactions, like, I'm starting to yell, or I'm starting to be, not as, like, whatever the word is, like,
Reactive.
yeah, but I'm not, and I guess the fact that I'm being more aware of it, I think is progress, but I don't know that, like as I'm in it, I'm like, ugh, but I don't feel like I can calm myself down really, like, I just feel too worked up, like, so that was one part for me in terms of the stress, and then the other part, which I felt like, also, like, I'm noticing more and maybe, like, making baby steps, like, talked to Rachel, that was, like, thinking about in terms of my own anxiety and like the pillows that we did last week. So I kept reminding myself of that exercise, and when I started to feel something, kept thinking to myself like, okay, it's just that first pillow, like, let's keep it there. But it was very hard, and I felt like often it did keep building. But I guess it's good that I at least started with something.
Yeah. Awareness, we have to become aware of the patterns before we can make any changes. So, otherwise we do life on automatic. And we bring in all those old habits, some of which we needed when we were younger, but we keep doing, even though they no longer serve us in the same way they did when we were younger. So thank you. So, yeah. You said something, you talked about progress. So when I talk to you about the reflections on how the course is going, I always remind people that progress is non-linear. This isn't like, okay, now I'm better. Okay, here I go. It's often like, oh yeah, oh no, oh yeah, oh. It's a kind of checking in relationship with ourselves, and certainly when emotions are higher, it's not quite as easy as when we're practicing down here. And it's a practice. I'm doing this a long time. It doesn't mean I don't get upset. It doesn't mean I am sometimes not reacting as opposed to responding. But the difference perhaps with bringing mindfulness in to whatever we do is that we don't necessarily get stuck in a stress cycle, which is a great segue.
Did people get a chance to look at the diagram in their homework books? Didn't see it?
Yeah, I looked for it.
I think I might, oh yeah.
No, we don't have that in our
No.
Yeah, I didn't
books.
see it.
Yes, you do.
No.
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 I mean, it's done in yours, but.
Okay, well, let me get some Scotch tape. Look at it now. Did anyone get it? Oh. So you must have been kind of curious. What was I talking about? The homework assignment. Oh, reading about stress. And the stress reaction cycle. So, oh, by the way, I was thinking, because Michael's a physician, that there's some things he could contribute in relation to this, but he did think he was not going to be able to come today, so if anybody's wondering. So this is the basic stress reaction, can you see? Reaction cycle. So there's some external event that happens, stressors, we talked about stressors last week, and it impacts on both our cardiovascular, our muscular, our nervous system, and our immune system, which in turn can create internal stress events. Now, some of what happens with external stress events is perception or appraisal. Not everything that we have and that we perceive as a stressor is necessarily, it's not Hurricane Sandy, it's not Mount Vesuvius. And sometimes, yes, a stress response is the appropriate response to whatever's going on. But our perception and how we appraise the situation, is there danger? Is this a story I'm creating? Do I have reactivity to sound that's coming from inside? Did I think he did that on purpose? Whatever it was. I can't control this. Maybe there's no need to control this. And so then what happens in the body is we go into fight or flight. I think we've talked about this. And it's kind of alarm reactivity. Oh my gosh! And the whole body reacts as if it's lions and tigers and bears. And then we have a stress reaction, which involves the hypothalamus. Thank you. The hypothalamus, the pituitary, the adrenals. So we have acute hyperarousal. Our blood pressure increases. And sometimes what happens, and all that is perfectly normal. A stress reaction, it's not like, oh, you're here, I don't want you ever to feel a stress reaction. Of course, we need a stress reaction. A car cuts you off, you go like that, and your stomach and your body goes like this. And sometimes what happens with people is they internalize, they want to inhibit the stress reaction. And so what can result are things like chronic hyperarousal, HBP, high blood pressure, thank you, arrhythmias, sleep disorders, chronic headaches, backaches, and anxiety. And so if we start to go into an inhibitive process, it can kind of get stuck in the body. Because normally what happens is, okay, we have the stress, the body reacts, and then it comes back to a normal state. When we inhibit our stress reaction, or we don't work with it, we can get stuck in an automatic stress cycle, and then we can go into all kinds of maladaptive coping strategies like self-destructive behaviors, overworking, hyperactivity, overeating, things like substance dependency, drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, caffeine, food. And then all that causes a breakdown physiologically and psychologically. We can become exhausted, loss of drive and enthusiasm, depression. Some people have a genetic predisposition that gets stimulated, sometimes autoimmune diseases, that kind of thing. People get heart attacks, cancer. I think we've talked about how things like inflammation, research has shown that these practices can reduce inflammation. And so, And so, this is a stress cycle. And when we bring in mindfulness,
Are we going to have this diagram?
I will
Oh, can
make
we-
sure you have it. It's supposed to be in your packet. I'm sorry, it's not. But we'll get it there. So then,
we look over here, and if we go, instead of going automatically into the whole stress reaction, and it's the internalization that really can get us stuck, if we become mindful and we can have some appraisal of our thoughts. Like today I think I said at some point, see what's going on as an event, as opposed to the way you might typically feel it or see it. And, you know, how do we appraise our thoughts, our feelings, perceived threats? We can bring awareness into situations, and that in turn can bring some relaxation, but not always. We still have a stress response, and there may be some arousal, but you also, there's an awareness of your body, and the muscle tension